Okay, so file, new project, blueprint, 2D side scroller. It doesn't matter whether or not you choose starter content. I would just do no, it'll start faster. Name it whatever. You don't have to actually name it whatever, just name it something. Create project. Do you need help?
No, I'm good. I just clicked on advanced view and it says new side door.
Okay. This shouldn't have a lot in it, so it should start pretty soon. While this is happening, if you open up Microsoft Edge, we're actually going to go look for some sprite sheets. So down at the bottom, you see Microsoft Edge. I'm going to go to Google. And since this is for educational use, we can use whatever we want. I'm pretty sure that if I type in sprite sheet, Mega Man should be one of, and then images. Mega Man, yes. Here's a Mega Man. Right click, and then save picture as. I'm going to save it to the desktop so it's easy to find. Name it Mega Man.
Try to save the desktop, it won't let you.
It won't
You have to have permission. You can save it to documents. Or
yeah, I guess save it to the documents. It was working yesterday. See what I'm doing here? So we're also going to grab, if you search for coin sprite sheet PNG, it'll usually guess that you're trying to get a transparent background. And then I'm going to use this one. I've used it before. It's very nice. I'm just going to right click, save picture as. I'm going to name it coin sheet. And then hopefully by that time this has started up, and this is what you should see if you've opened up the 2D side scroller project. Most of you have used Unreal, so I'm not going to go through the, like, if you hold down, right click on the mouse and use WASD, you can maneuver around the scene. You can also use the middle mouse button to pan. So those are just some quick things. The very first thing that we're going to do is open up File Explorer. We're going to boom through this because we started off a little late. Grab the coin sheet and the Mega Man. You control click each of them, select both of them, and just drag them into the content browser at the bottom. Also, if anyone needs any help, flag down John. That fine young gentleman by the door. Alright, so now both of these should be inside of the project, but you can see they're being recognized as textures because we think it's a 3D game. So if you select the coin sheet, which is what I named mine, yes, right click that, this contextual menu will come up, sprite actions, and then extract sprites. I think we got a hand up in the back though. This screen should come up and you'll see the automatic slicing of the sprites from the tile sheet, and then just hit the green button, extract. And then you can see it automatically selected and cut out these sprites. When you hover over it, you can see that in parentheses you see the file type is sprite. If you right click with all those selected and do create flipbook, I'm just going to name mine coin turn. And you can even see it animating down there in the content browser. And a flipbook, you guys know what a flip, am I too old? A flipbook, like the Flipperama from Captain Underpants, or the old animation where you just flip the pages. Okay. So now you can even click that, drag it into the scene, and you can see it. You can see it looping through that animation. But first, I'm going to go ahead and delete that. I'm just showing. All right. We also need to cut up the Mega Man, so we're going to do the exact same thing. We're going to right-click on the Mega Man texture, sprite actions, extract sprites. You see it cutting up all the different Mega Mans. Slice those. Now we don't want to make an animation out of all these. We just want some of them. So as an example, I'm going to select the first three. I'm going to right click and create a flipbook, and I'm going to call that one idle. So now we have an idle animation. You can click here and see the idle animation. It's actually going 15 frames a second, and there's only 3 frames. It's a little too fast, so I'm going to go at 5. That makes a little more sense for Mega Man. So if you double click on the paper flipbook after you make it, it'll open up this editor where you can update the animation. Something else that we're going to do, like if I drag this in here, you can kind of tell that he's a little blurry, and it's the point filtering on him. So another thing you'll want to do is double click on your texture will have a red line on the bottom of the picture. Double click that and open it up. And then inside of the texture, in the details panel, you'll see a section called texture. Go ahead and expand that out. You'll see this little arrow. Can you guys see the screen up here?
Yeah.
Okay. You'll see this little arrow in texture. You drop it down. And then filter mode, right now it's set to default. Do nearest. And you might not be able to tell right now, but it'll make it won't try to blend the pixels as much. Go ahead and save that, close it out. We won't need to come back in here for that. For the running animation, we're actually going to use 16 and 25. So if you select 16 and then shift select 25 and select all those, and then right click and create a flipbook, call it running. And you can see that'll be our running animation and our idle animation. So now that we have those, we want to customize this mannequin. So if you click on him, and then over here in the world outliner, and you see Edit 2D Side Scroller, we want to open up his blueprint. Or you can click this blue button here, and it will open up the same thing. I actually think if you open this one, you'll get a menu, and then you open Blueprint Editor. So inside of here, the only thing that we're going to change right now, if you scroll out with the mouse wheel, you'll see Handle Animation section up at the top, and then we're going to zoom into this Select node. And this Select node is changing the animation based on the character's velocity. So we're just going to change the false from the idle that it is now to the idle that we made, and then the true from the running animation that it is to the running animation that we made. We'll also want to go into the viewport of this blueprint. So up here in the tabs, you'll see Event Graph, and then Viewport is 2 over. Click on that. Click on the sprite, that is the mannequin. Stop me if I'm going too fast. But we are running out of time. Over on the right-hand side, under sprite, you'll see this, the animation of the idle animation. Click that drop down, and then we'll select our Mega Man idle. And then we're not done yet. We'll also want to scale him up a little bit. So with the sprite still selected, you can grab the 2 bars in between the Z and X, which blue Z, red X. Grab the bar in between both of them, and then scale it up and try to get the bottom of the feet as close to the bottom of that capsule as you can. Compile, save. And then when you play, you have Mega Man. Okay, so now that we got him moving, we're going to do a little bit more with that coin. Everyone made the coin, right? So I'm going to click the coin turn anim, and I'm just going to drag it in the scene. bring it up, move it back a little bit, try to get it lined up so I don't have to do it later. And then over here, this blue button in the details panel, the blueprint add script, click on that. You can save it anywhere. So we are going to add, what are we going to add, sphere collider? Sphere collision component. So up here I clicked on the add component button in the drop down, and I just searched for sphere, and then sphere collision is the second one that comes up. And I added that to the coin. I'm going to scale up the collider so it matches up a little more with the, no I'm not, because I added a sphere to it. Never mind. I'm going to do that like I'm supposed to. Alright. So compile, save, and that should be done. Now I'm going to go back into the player blueprint, and I'm going to go back into the event graph. I'm going to come up here to a little bit above begin play, but I'm going to, if you click and drag and select these nodes, you can slide them up. I'm going to right click inside of the graph and do begin overlap. So if you search for begin overlap, it should come up. So then begin overlap is what's going to happen whenever this character runs into the coin. So out of other actor, I'm going to come out and I want to cast to the coin, because right now I don't have the coin, but now I do. But right now, there is, let's do this. Out of this, as coin turn blueprint, drag off of that, and just do destroy actor. And compile, save, and then we'll test to see if this works. You can see when you walk into the coin, it'll disappear. Which doesn't really do us any good. We want to be able to collect those coins. So back inside of the two-player blueprint, I'm going to add a variable. Under my blueprint variables, hit the plus button. Is anyone totally lost? Okay. I'm actually going to pull up the magnifier. So over here to the right in the My Blueprint panel, under Variables, I click this plus and create a new variable. I'm just going to name it CoinVal. No, I'm not, because I'm not inside the box. All right, we have a little bit of time, so I'm going to stop and I'm actually going to help go around. So if you haven't got up to making a new variable,
My card says the watch the white. get $10,000.
So now I'm gonna try to make a HUD as quickly as possible. I'm gonna right click inside the project, user interface, widget blueprint. I feel like we've lost some of the people, but if anyone else wants to keep following along. Drag in a text. Zero.
Shoot. Shoot.
And I'm going to bind this text to the value of 1, 2.
Yeah.
Character. That's 2D. Get player character. And inside of the player character, on right off of begin play, after we said it's replicated, I'm just gonna create widget. I'm gonna select that HUD widget that we just made, and I'm gonna add it to viewport. Select save. It's gonna trigger me.
They see me roll with it.
One of the more different things about like 2D and Unreal versus Unity 2 is this like edit collision, where you can actually like grab each point of the collider and kind of like update it a little bit. You have to like right click on each point and drag it down.
And your spaceship's literally not realistic at all. Wow, that's gonna fly far, far away in galaxies. I tried to follow that. Alright, he's got like coins like out and everything. Changed his landscape.
I didn't see that little hand movement when I met. He's afraid of falling. All right, guys, we have about like 7 to 5 minutes left. Does anyone have any questions, or would anyone like? Yeah.
Where's some good resources?
There's good documentation. There's a wiki on Unreal Engine. There's a lot of tutorials. There's documentation for this project even. I'm going to see if you want some like basic editor information, there's this little hat up here. I don't know if you can see. This little hat, and when you click on it, it'll bring up a tutorial menu. And you can go through these different tutorials. These are like some pretty basic ones. YouTube. Even though like I kind of paid a lot of money to go to school for making games, I spent a lot of my time on Google and YouTube. There's Wiki. They have an answer hub on their website. Academy.unrealengine.com has a lot of good video tutorials. It's totally free. Definitely worth it. Yeah.
Also, it's like a good computer to run this software. There's documentation from
Yeah. It'll automatically detect if your frame rate starts dropping because of the engine, or if you wanted to manually do it under here in settings, engine scalability. Like right now, since it's just a 2D project, I have it set to its lowest settings. Actually, I guess they do, but yeah. It's very lightweight. They use Fortnite as an example. Like you think about Unreal Engine, they have this big game Fortnite, and it runs on an Android phone. So there's, yeah.
How can that work?